This film illustrates a project in which we worked alongside foundation stage children and practitioners at Claughton Children's Centre near Birkenhead in Cheshire. As is the case with all our projects, the ideas that are at the core of them came from joint discussions with teachers and children. The starting point for this project was to introduce the children to the concept of habitat, a place where creatures live. With this in mind, and prior to the project work beginning, the teachers had explored with the children the lives of creatures that might live in the garden of the centre. Much of our creative work with children, and this project is no exception, has been informed by the Italian writer Gianni Rodari, who has this to say about children's stories. If children are to learn to act for themselves, they must acquire playful methods and techniques that will enable them to fathom what the words, expressions, forms and shapes of their culture mean. Children learn and demonstrate that the imagination has rules of its own that must be respected if children are to respond and seek more knowledge about language and their imagination. Children wanted to know where the tocs had gone, and they decided to go and find them in a search of the nursery and the garden outside. After a time, another child came up with the idea that the tocs were now living in the timber wall of the ramp in the garden. And that is how the project began. During such a storytelling session, one of the children was listening to the teacher's watch. After a while, she told the other children that the watch was only making a tick sound. The tocs were not there. They'd gone away. Discussion between teachers and creative collaborators. It was agreed that the project should encourage the children to think of these timber ramps as places to play. The project should encourage the children, in their imagination, to think of these hollow timber structures as places in which creatures might choose to make their home. Hence the title of the project, Living in the Wall.
Or we might tie things together like this. That's very good, well done.
Over the next 2 weeks, the children talked about the lifestyle of the tocs. They did drawings of what they thought a top would look like.
The top's got legs.
The project work began with storytelling. Stories about who might come and live in the spaces in the timber wall. What would they bring with them, and what would they leave behind them when they went?
Does that make a noise? When I'm... So how do we know that's metal?
As part of the storytelling process, the creative collaborators showed the children objects they'd collected over the years. There was a discussion about what the objects had been used for, and what were the people like who'd used them, and what else could the children imagine them being used for.
Look, there's a little tap.
It's a tap.
A tap. Sit down. Wow, it's a very small tap.
So what we think is that they have barrels of wine that we didn't find in the fence, but we might find them one day. And they screw this into the barrel of wine, and they put a little glass underneath here,
and they open it,
and they drink, and the wine comes out.
They use it to make a machine, and they go wow.
Oh, yeah, I do think they go. They have to be very thin to fit down there. You see the book, this book, this man here, he makes lots of things out of different things that you find. That's what a top might look like. Do you?
Let's go and find some things to stick on our tops.
Take a picture. Oh, take a picture. You think
what happened to that one?
he's having a lie down. He's quite tired, and he's having a. It looks like he's Molly. Then I know it's your top. Any nice
Wow. Brilliant. round ball.
What's the ring for? What do you think it might be? What could he do with the ring? Is it a magic ring? What could he make a wish or something like that and things happen? What would you wish for if it was your ring? If it was you had a magic ring? A miracle? What sort of? Would it be a big one that you can find now? Or very small one? Secret cave there. And all your things are hidden inside it, all your treasure. With treasure in it. I thought that's what it was. Because I can see tiny little bits of it. All gold. And they're all sparkling.
Having got to know the needs of the Toks, it was time for the children to go out into the garden to assist the Toks in building their home in the wall. The children had decided that the Toks would want to live alongside the other creatures who live in the garden. So the wall was to contain bird boxes and feeding tables. There were to be places for the mice to nest and for the hedgehogs to hibernate.
Okay, you finish it. Got it. I'm going to put another one in there. I'll remember what I said, it's got to be in there like a key in a door, isn't it? Right, press it.
That's it. What I said about staying up on your knees, so you can come down on top of it. Excellent.
They worked as apprentices to the creative collaborators in the process of putting all the separate pieces in place. It was they who decided where the pieces had to go, and were keen to explain that they'd given a lot of thought to that being the right and exact spot for that item.
Make sure you get it right in, you'll hear it click. Alright, now go do it again.
During the 2-day workshops that followed, the children worked out in the garden to create the parts of what became known as Tok City. They created a world for the Toks that included planes in which they were to fly, cars in which they were to go on holiday, and swings in a playground for the Tok children.
Choose the bits you need.
In the making of this living wall, the children took a functional object, like a fence, and turned it into a world of their imagination. The children who come to the nursery in the future will be encouraged to add to this world and tell their story of how it came to be. We feel that the shared creativity of the children, teachers and creative collaborators who worked on this project illustrate fully the words of Gianni Rodari. The ways in which people, parents and poets, as well as teachers and children, can collaborate in children's play. The word collaborate is the operative one. The teacher is an animator, someone who brings to life creative play across all the subjects of the curriculum and all the realms of a shared imagination.